Okay. Hello class. Today we are going to start with economics chapter first. That is the story of village Palampur. As I told you earlier also in history that please, if it is possible, just download the NCERT textbooks from your net so that you can refer those. In that you can see the textbook. In that in economics you can refer the topics which we are going to cover in this section. Okay. So first of all, let me tell you this village of Palampur is just an imagination. Okay, so here in this village, in this story, they are trying to convey the message. They are trying to tell us about the organization of production. How does production happens, and how the people in the village or wherever, how is factors of production helping them to bring the economic development. All these things we are going to study in this chapter. We are also going to study about crops of different season, which there is a kharif season, rabi season. Okay, kharif means rainy season, rabi means winter or dry season. Which type of crops are grown there, and which are the different type of factors and all. Okay. So first of all, let me tell you a brief introduction of production. What is the meaning of production? Production means it is an activity that involves production of a good or services that a person needs. That is the meaning of a production. So in this chapter, we are going to learn about the different factors of production. Okay, so here in this story, you can see that as it is telling that in this village, okay, this village has more than 450 families, and majority of them is dependent upon agriculture. Okay, so you can see here in this picture how the ladies are, doing all type of agriculture activities, how they are using the crops and all. Here you can see the village market and all. So the main activity of Palampur is farming. Both ladies and men, children, they all indulge in this activity because they are totally dependent upon farming. Only some section of the people are there who are not in non-farming and something else, for example, road, transport or shops and dairy and all. Okay. So here, see, these examples are of non-farming activities are like small manufacturing, transport, shopkeeping, and all those. You can see here the ladies. We can also say there's small cottage industries and all can be working here, transport and the shopkeepings and all. So these are the some of the non-farming activities which is there in Palampur. Okay. So now we are going to the four requirements of production, the main four factors of production. They are land, labor, physical capital, and human capital. Okay. So land, labor, physical capital is further divided into two. That is fixed capital and working capital. Then comes the human capital. So what is the meaning of land, labor, physical capital, and human capital? Okay. Land means it is the basic natural resource which is required for any input in the production activity. It is fixed. Okay, in nature, that means without land, nothing is there. Whether it is a factory, whether it is a farm, whether it is an institution, whether it is anything, we need land. So land is considered as a basic natural resource which is required for an input in any production activity. Then comes labor. Labor means what? It is physical and mental effort put in by the human beings during the process of production. During the process of production, whatever physical and mental effort whichever is put in by the human being, that is known as labor. Whether it is a farming or non-farming activity, whatever, labor is very much necessary. Because without labor, we cannot do any type of production. If machines are also there, still we need a person. A person, if he will not switch on the button of a machine, then that machine will not work. Right. The same way, labor is also an important requirement for production. Then comes physical capital. What is the meaning of physical capital? Physical capital means it is a variety of inputs, whatever is required at every stage of production. For example, we can tell tools and raw materials. Tools and raw materials are very much necessary. That is physical capital. Okay, physical, that is tools and raw materials, whatever is required at every stage of production. So this physical capital is further divided into two parts, that is fixed capital and working capital. Fixed capital means it is durable in nature and can be used a number of times over a long period, such as tools and machines. That is fixed, which can be used for a long time. A building, a industry, a factory, a big machine which is brought there, a big tool which is brought there. Okay, it's not like that we have used it for 1 day or 2 days, then it's done. No, the tool, the machine, the building which is there for a long period of time, that is known as fixed capital. Next is working capital. Working capital includes what? It includes raw materials and money in hand. That means this working capital is used up in the process of production. Raw material. If we bring any type of raw material, if we bring wood from the forest for making some furniture, so if you use that wood to make any furniture, then that raw material is done. If you're making a table with it, the wood has been changed into a raw material, right? The wood has been changed into a table. So the raw material has been changed into some productive item. So it's a working capital. And money in hand, of course, the capital, whatever is got. Capital means a amount which is brought in first into the business or the industry, that is mainly known as capital. So working capital in that money in hand means whatever money is in rotation. Whenever any raw material is got or any machine is got, any building is got, we need money for that. Money comes in and go and it's keep on rotating. That money in hand is considered as the working capital. Next is human capital. Human capital means here in this picture you can see how they are using their knowledge and the enterprise that are required to put together land, labor and physical capital to produce an output. As I have told you, human capital is very much necessary. The technique, the knowledge, whatever a person is having, he has to put that into bringing this land, labor and physical capital together for a proper output, for a proper production. These are the four main requirements: land, labor, physical capital and human capital. Okay, now from here we can see that land is fixed, as I told you earlier. Land is fixed. That is, for example, we can take the example of Palampur. In Palampur, farming is the main activity. 75% of the people over there are dependent upon farming because that is their livelihood. Okay, so some wasteland is there which is converted into cultivable land also. Some wasteland or some grazing land can be converted into cultivated land also. But land is fixed over there. You can use it. Land is very much important resource. Okay. Then comes crop. Crop in seasons in Palampur. As you know, everyone knows vegetable, fruits, crops, all these things are, some crops they are only seen in Kharif season. Some vegetables they are only seen in Rabi season. Some fruits which is only seen in Rabi season. Like that way, fruits, vegetable, crops, everything is divided in seasons in Palampur, not only in Palampur, everywhere. But in this lesson, they are saying as crop seasons in Palampur. So the main two seasons what we are going to take into consideration is Kharif season and Rabi season. So here what's seen on the slide is there a way one can grow more from the same land? During the rainy season, Kharif farmers grow jowar and bajra. That means during Kharif season or during the rainy season, the farmers grow jowar and bajra. Okay. Now in winter season, that is Rabi season, fields are sown with wheat. It may be the same land where bajra and jowar has been also grown. So the same thing, what happened? In the next season, they have removed that crop and they have cultivated wheat. So no, it's not that only jowar we have cultivated. So for the whole life we will be only cultivating jowar, only producing jowar in that field. No. That's why the question is there a way one can grow more from the same land? Yes, of course. We can use we can grow jowar, we can grow bajra, we can grow wheat, we can grow sugarcane, anything. That depends upon the farmer. And in the, it depends upon season wise. Season to season, they can change whatever crops they want to grow. Now there are some technique for this cropping. Cropping patterns we can see. From that, first one is multiple cropping. What is the meaning of multiple cropping? Multiple cropping means three or more crops are raised during a year on a given piece of land. You can see in the picture, in the given piece of land, they have grown three or more crops, different. Here you can see some are there, here some other crops are there, here some this vegetables, leafy vegetables are there, here some are there, here different, like that. They have grown different crops or different vegetables in same land, same piece of land. That is known as multiple cropping. Okay. Traditional seeds and manures till 1960. Okay, this is what they are telling is how the traditional seeds and manures are there. For example, you must have heard about HYV seeds, that is high yielding variety seeds. This high yielding variety seeds, what they do is they give a good production than the normal seeds. So these seeds are what we say processed in the laboratory. So they give more production. But this type of seeds needs fertilizers and pesticides also. So when we are doing that, our land is losing its own fertility. Okay. So here they are focusing about traditional seeds and manures till 1960. These were the traditional seeds and the manures were, for example, cow dung. Cow dung was considered as what is a great manure in fields and all, and whatever the waste they have, any vegetable waste, fruit waste, anything they need to use in the farms. I see. Higher yield seeds and fertilizer. Here they are using high yield variety seeds that is giving more production than the normal crops. But for that, we also have to use the fertilizers. Now this is modern farming methods. Modern farming methods means, as we have seen in cropping pattern, multiple cropping is there. As multiple I said three or more. One single crop can be also grown, that is single cropping. Double cropping can be also done, that is two crops are raised during, and multiple cropping, that is three or more crops are raised. Okay. All these things are coming under cropping patterns. Now this is farming methods. So one we have seen here, that is traditional method, and here it is modern farming method. In traditional method, earlier what happens is they used to use pair of bullocks for plowing the field. They used to draw water from the wells, and organic manure was used as I told, cow dung and all. But now what happened in modern farming, as they need more productivity, what they use is they use pesticides. They use chemical fertilizers. HYV seeds are used. Farm where bullocks were used, instead of that now there is tractors which is using diesel. Right? For irrigation they are using canals, pump sets, electricity from dams and all. So all these things are used for in modern farming methods for good high yielding variety of seeds. So what is the result of this? The result is the productivity of land increases manifold. The productivity increases. But there is some problem also going to come is that the soil's fertility can also be lost because we are using lots and lots of chemicals. Okay. Now here in the next slide you can see yield of wheat grown in Palampur by traditional variety and HY. Two different things. This is by traditional and this is modern. Traditional, it is 1300 kg per hectare, and in modern it is 3200 kg per hectare. That means when we are using chemical fertilizers, when we are using all types of modern methods, we are getting more production. Traditional method takes its own time because the seeds are not processed in the laboratory. They are the same natural seeds, so they take time. Okay. Now the question is, will the land sustain? That means when we are using all these types of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and high yielding variety seeds and all, will our land sustain this thing? The 2 points which you have to keep in mind is lands are associated with the loss of soil fertility due to increased use of chemical fertilizers. As we are using more chemical fertilizers, the soil fertility is lost. The land is losing its fertility. Second is also groundwater level for tube well irrigation has reduced. The groundwater level also gets reduced because of this. How land is distributed. Now here in Palampur, how the lands are distributed. Okay. Here, for example, if it is 150 families, most of them are Dalits and they have no land for cultivation. What they do is they cultivate in somebody else's land. They work as laborers over there. Okay. Then here next is 240 families who cultivate small plots of land which is less than 2 hectares in size. Cultivation of such plots does not bring adequate income to the farmer's family. What the thing is, when a farmer is working in a field, his wife, his son, his daughter, everyone starts helping them in that area. So everyone is just in that 2 hectares in that size they are working. So whatever the production is going to happen in that 2 hectares, it will be the same. Whether three people are working or five people are working, the production will be same. So no much income is going to come to the farmer's family. Okay. Then in Palampur there are 60 families of medium and large numbers who cultivate more than 2 hectares of land. A few of the large farmers have land extending over 10 hectares or more. So here we have seen 150, 240 and 60. That means total 450 families. As I told you earlier, in Palampur there is 450 families. So you can see how the land is distributed within them. 150 those who don't have any land, 240 which those who have very less land, and 60 families which have more than 2 hectares and somebody more than 10 hectares also. So this way the land is distributed among the people of the Palampur. Now, the other thing here which is going to affect is that if those 150 families also had, what we say, land, then our production would have been little more increased. People would have got more job opportunities, more people can work in that. But that 150 families, most of them are from Dalits, so they don't have land for cultivation. They work with somebody else's land. That is the thing. Now here, the thing is, when this type of 150 families or 240 families, they need work. They are the people who provide the labor. For example, three types of farmers are there: small farmers, medium farmers, large farmers. The small farmers are there who cultivate their own land. Medium farmers are there who hire the laborers. And large farmers are also there who hire the laborers on a cash or on kind they give the wages. Somebody will get very less wages. But when they have no land for cultivation and when they have very less land for cultivation, what happens is these two group of families, what they do, sometimes who they work with the 60 families in their fields, and whatever wages they get, they will take that. Okay. So now, see, as I told you, who will provide the labor? Small farmers along with their families cultivate their own land. And medium and large farmers, they hire the farm laborers to work on their land and then they give them the wages. Now here the next thing what they are talking is about the capital needed in farming. As I told you earlier also, capital is very much needed whenever we are starting any industries, factories or anything. Capital is very much needed in farming. So what are the 2 points you can make? The small farmers have to borrow. money to arrange for the capital from large farmers or the money lenders. The rate of interest on such loans are very high. They struggle a lot to repay it. What happens is they know that formal sector is also there, informal sector is also there to help them. But what happens is they don't go to the formal sector. They are afraid of banks and all. Because these money lenders and other people, what they do, they try to tell them, no, you should not go there and take the loan. There is lots and lots of formalities. And then if you are not able to repay the loan, they will come and seize your property and all these things. But actually, the farmers should always try to go for formal sector only. They should not go for informal sector. But what happens? They don't. Some farmers they do, but most of them they go to money lenders and large farmers to borrow the money to arrange for the capital. But now the thing is, the rate of interest on such loans are very high because these money lenders and large farmers they are working for their profit. They will not see that whether this farmer is able to repay the loan or whether this farmer has got a proper harvest in this year so that he can repay the loan. No, they are only for profit. So whatever money they have given as loan, they want the proper interest and the interest is also very high. So sometimes what happens? The farmers struggle a lot to repay the loan. See this slide. They pay wages to laborers. Wages can be in cash or in kind. Example, crop. Wages vary widely from region to region, crop to crop, activity to activity like sowing and harvesting. This is what I told you earlier about the medium farmers and large farmers, how they are going to give wages to the labor. Some people they give in cash or in kind. So, for example, those the laborers who are working for kind and all, how will they keep any savings with them? Whenever any problem occur in their family, how are they going to fulfill that problem? How are they going to find a solution because they are working in kind? So in this kind of thing, the laborers find lot of difficulties. Some laborers they get very less wages. Some people they get only kind and that kind also sometimes very less. That also happen with the farmers. Now the medium and large farmers have their own savings from farming. They are thus able to arrange for the capital needed. Here we have seen that how the small farmers they have to borrow for money from the large farmers and the money lenders for the capital to arrange for the capital for their farm. But here the medium and the large farmers they have their own savings from the farming. So what the thing is, they need not have any tension. They don't have any problem to arrange for capital needed. Whenever they need, they just take the money and then they arrange the capital. See here now, this slide is showing about sale of surplus farm products. Whatever surplus comes in the farm product, how is the sale done? That is, which we can tell in two types. That is, small farmers they use substantial share for family needs, and the large and medium farmers sell in the market. As small farmers, I have seen it earlier that only 2 hectares and less than 2 hectares and all this have the farm. So whatever they are growing in it, sometimes it is only for their substantial use. But the large and the medium farmers, they sometimes get surplus. And those surplus production always go to the market for sale. Okay, see it's written. It is the medium and large farmer who supply wheat to the market. The small farmers, they are only having for their substantial share, which they keep it for their own family. So who is again getting profit? That is the medium and the large farmers because they are selling it in the market and in that they are going to get a good amount. Okay. Now these are some of the non-farming activities in Palampur. One is dairy, which is a common activity in many villages of Palampur because people keep livestock with them, which can be cow, it can be buffaloes, it can be goats. Okay, so people feed their buffaloes on various kinds of crops like jowar and bajra and all. They give them the food and all, and they get milk from them, and that milk is sold in the dairy, and they get a good amount for that. That is not farming, that is non-farming activity which is coming under the dairy activities. Okay. Next is the milk is sold in Raiganj. So in your textbook also you can see there is a village which is nearby to what we say Palampur and the name is Raiganj. The milk is sold in Raiganj, the nearby large village. The two traders from Shapur town have set up milk collection centers at Raiganj, from where the milk is transported to faraway towns and cities. So what they do is whatever the dairy farming is done in Palampur village or any villages nearby, what happens is the milk is sold in the Raiganj. And two traders from Shapur town, a town there, what they have done is they have set up a milk collection center where at Raiganj. And from there, the milk is transported to faraway towns and cities, which is again helping the non-farming activity people get good amount as a profit because they are selling the milk to different towns and cities. Okay. Next is small scale manufacturing. What is small scale manufacturing? Small scale manufacturing means where, as I told you, cotton industries, for example, we can say the ladies from the home and some men also they work in that. So they what mostly what they do is that is carried out at home only or sometime in some field with the help of some family members. And here mostly they don't take any labor much. The family members or the nearby people they only start the business together. They only work in that. Very rarely only they hire some laborers because it's a very small industry. So what we say there is no need of big what we say investment in hiring any laborers and all. So it's written here they are carried out mostly at home or in the fields with the help of family labor. Rarely are laborers hired. That's why it's known as small scale manufacturing. Now, second one is shopkeeping of Palampur. This is also one of the non-farming activities, small shops where we will get rice, wheat, sugar, tea, oil, toothpaste, battery, candles, notebook, pen, pencil, even some clothes. Whatever hard and fast, if you want a pencil or if you want to, have some packets of some cookies or we want some notebooks, we want biscuit, we want soap, we want pen, we can just run and go to this nearby shopkeeping and then we can get the thing. So these are some of the non-farming activities in Palampur. Next is transport. As mentioned in the textbook that transport is also a developing sector in this village. That means some people who are having rickshaws and all, they are bringing their transport into road, which is helping the people to move from one place to another. Some are rickshaw wala, some are tunga wala, some have jeep, some have tractors, some have truck drivers, which is helping to move some items or some goods from one place to another. So there are variety of vehicles in the road which is connecting Palampur to the Palampur to Raiganj. Okay. So Palampur is a small village, but there mostly all type of activities are there. Non-farming activities are also there. Farming activities are also there. And it is helping the people to get connected with towns and cities, which is helping them to develop. Okay. Now, one more thing which I want to include in this is conclude the chapter by telling about green revolution. You all know what's green revolution, right? Green revolution means a revolution which is brought about in the field of agriculture by using HYV of seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, pesticides, insecticides when it was brought by late 1960s and in mostly in the states of Punjab, Haryana and Western UP and all. So as I have told you, it has advantages of what high yielding. For example, see, I have shown you the example here. As high yielding variety seeds are having 3,200 kg per hectare, but traditional is having only 1,300 per kg sector. That's coming under green evolution only. But the problem is what? If we use it more and more, the fertility of our soil will lose. So we have to be very careful while using high yielding variety seeds and chemical fertilizers. And the thing is, Once it get destroyed, it is very difficult to restore them. And chemical fertilizers, what they do, they get dissolved in the groundwater, and groundwater gets polluted. It is not because groundwater, groundwater is used for, in from well, in well and all, from well and all people take water to consume and all. So when this groundwater is getting polluted by chemical fertilizers, right, it will have all type of viruses and bacteria in it, which is not good for our human body. So that is also one more topic which I wanted to include, which is there in your textbook, a small topic about green revolution. So I think so it's clear to you about this chapter. It's a very short and sweet chapter which is telling about some of the activities of a imagination of a village, imaginative village, totally imaginative. They are all farming activities, non-farming activities, which are the different types of what we say seasons in where different crops are grown, and non farming activities, what are there, transporting the dairies there, then and people, some people have their own land for cultivation, some don't have, some have more land for cultivation, and mostly large farmers and medium farmers are there who give their land, who give their production in excess surplus into the market, and small farmers use for their needs, and livestock is there, dairy is there, and the small scale industries are there, mostly at home or nearby fields they do. Shopkeepings are there, and transport is there. Right, so it's a very short and sweet chapter. So I believe that you understood. Any doubts you have, you can ask me. That man, what is this in the next lecture? You can ask me. And questions, as I told you, to download the NCRT textbook from the what to say net. There you can find the exercise also. Try to do some of the question answers as your homework, and try to find out any doubt if you are having. You can ask me in the next section. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you for cooperating.